Hello, you're watching Shalom World News. I'm Dana Villa from Chicago, USA. Here are the latest headlines from around the world. Two American prelates have sent a letter to the U.S. Congress urging members to oppose the Respect for Marriage Act, which seeks to recognize same-sex unions. It was Cardinal Timothy Dolan of New York, chairman of the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops Committee for Religious Liberty, and Bishop Robert Barron of Winona, Rochester, chairman of the Episcopate's Committee on Laity, Marriage, Family Life, and Youth, who issued a joint letter. In the letter, they reiterated Catholic teaching on marriage and at the same time said that it does not mean condoning hostility towards people who feel same-sex attractions. They said to attack one is to attack the other, and Congress must have the courage to defend both. Both prelates said that the Respect for Marriage Act rejects timeless truths about marriage, and it also betrays the nation's commitment to protecting religious freedom. After his general audience on Wednesday, November 23rd, the Holy Father asked everyone to pray for peace in the world and that there would be an end to the conflict. He brought to mind the terrible suffering of the Ukrainian people. The Pope also recalled that next Saturday marks the anniversary of the Ukrainian Holocaust. Known as Holodomor, the 1932 extermination of the Ukrainian population by famine was caused by Soviet dictator Joseph Stalin. The nation, which was considered Europe's breadbasket, woke up one fine day to an unprecedented food shortage. This was caused by Stalin's confiscation of farmland as part of nationalization. Millions starved to death in what is seen as Stalin's ethnic cleansing in Ukraine. The Holy Father, at the conclusion of the general audience, also offered prayers for the victims of the earthquake in Indonesia's West Java. A group of 15 Republican attorneys general has reaffirmed to act decisively if the Department of Veterans Affairs uses a new rule allowing abortions in states where there are curbs on performing the same. Led by Mississippi Attorney General Lynn Fitch, a group of 14 other state attorneys general wrote a letter to VA Secretary Dennis McDonough on Thursday. The letter addressed the Department of Veteran Affairs rule that permits VA hospitals to perform abortions in certain cases of military veterans and family members. This includes abortion in cases of rape, incest, or when the mother's life is at risk. The attorneys general told the secretary that they would not permit the rule, which took effect in September. Following the Dobbs decision, which stated that there is no right to abortion in the U.S. Constitution, the department released an interim final rule that permits the VA to carry out abortions in some circumstances. The Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, OHCHR, has reported that as many as 6,595 civilians have been killed in Ukraine in the conflict between February 24 and November 20. According to these statistics, those killed included 415 children, 2,575 men, and 1,767 women in 9 months. The gender of 1,838 adults who died is unknown, while over 10,000 civilians were injured so far, the report said. OHCHR said that the actual figures will be considerably higher as the reports from places where casualties were higher are yet to be received, and many reports are still pending confirmation. Since the beginning of the Russian invasion, there have been reports of gross atrocities against Ukrainians, including rape, pedophilia, and mass shootings. In the East African nation of Uganda, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni appealed to citizens to emulate Blessed Giuseppe Ambrosoli, a recently beatified Camboni missionary priest and doctor. The president also urged citizens to work to eradicate poverty from their homes. He told them that they do not need to be missionaries to make the lives of others better. President Museveni said that Dr. Ambrosoli sacrificed so much in the area he was qualified. The doctor priest served in the Archdiocese of Gulu. Born in Como, Italy in 1923, Dr. Ambrosoli came to Uganda as a missionary in February 1956. After selflessly serving the sick, he passed away on March 27, 1987, at the Kamboni Mission in Lira. After Pope Francis confirmed his heroic virtue, he was proclaimed venerable on December 17, 2015, and on November 20 this year, Dr. Ambrosoli was beatified. The Northern Territory Parliament in Australia passed a suite of amendments to the anti-discrimination legislation that was enacted 3 decades ago. It was passed despite backlash from the church, the opposition, and other faith groups. The changes include the removal of a clause that allowed religious groups to discriminate against a person based on their religious convictions and morality. Opposition leader Leah Finocchiaro said that the amendment erodes freedom of speech and freedom of religion. There was also a protest meeting by the Northern Territory Christian Schools Network and representatives of the Catholic, Islamic, Sikh, Hindu, and Buddhist communities. Previously, the act permitted religious schools to select staff based on their faith or sexuality. The UK-based Christian Legal Center has announced that a criminal case against Christian street preacher John Donne, who was arrested in 2020 for allegedly hate speech, was dismissed. 55-year-old Dunn, a British Army Special Forces veteran, has been preaching in the southwestern English town of Swindon for 15 years. He was arrested for hate speech when he offended 2 lesbians by denouncing homosexuality, quoting the Bible portion saying, "Homosexuals deserve hell." According to the Legal Center, the case at the Swindon Magistrates Court was thrown out after the 2 women complainants reportedly refused to engage with the case. In Britain, as winter approaches, a coalition of churches and charities has come out with a Warm Welcome campaign. This is part of an effort to provide safe and warm spaces for those who are struggling to pay for their heating bills in the wake of an energy crisis. Churches, libraries, businesses, and community organizations are opening their doors to provide warm spaces to people this winter. It is the ecumenical outfit Church Works that has launched this effort. Also registered with the campaign is Caritas Social Action Network, which is the official agency of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of England and Wales. Reports say that 7 million homes will be left without heating this winter, and 16.4 million people will have to live in the cold. Foreign Minister of Angola, Tete Antonio, said on Wednesday, November 23, that an agreement has been reached to declare a ceasefire in the violence-hit eastern part of the Democratic Republic of Congo. This was announced after a meeting between DRC President Felix Tshisekedi and Rwandan Foreign Minister Vincent Biruta in Luanda, the capital of Angola. This comes after tensions between 2 nations spiked following violence on their border unleashed by M23 rebels. Recent months have witnessed fighting between the rebels and Congolese troops. An agreement has been reached for a ceasefire at 6 p.m. local time on Friday, November 18. Both Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo agreed to demand the immediate withdrawal of rebels from the occupied areas. The fighting had triggered a diplomatic row as the DRC blamed Rwanda for helping the rebels. President of Burundi, Evariste Ndayishimiye, and former Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta were part of the discussions. A senior member of the Iranian Christian community stated that security officials are urging religious minorities to be silent and refrain from participating in anti-government demonstrations. MP Yonatan Betkolia, the head of the Assyrian Society of Tehran, said that following the outbreak of the nationwide protests, security and intelligence institutions held meetings with representatives of the Christian community and warned them not to take part in such agitations. The authorities' warnings emphasize the greater participation of the Christian community, unlike at the beginning of the protests. Defending every citizen's right to freedom, justice, and equal rights, the Council of the United Churches of Iran has denounced the country's systemic oppression of women and violations of human rights. In a statement issued, the Council condemned the imposition of the hijab on the Iranians and defended those who took to the streets in protest of the death of Mahsa Amini. No Christmas celebration is complete without nativity scenes. The 18th National Nativity Contest has begun in Peru in the weeks leading to Christmas. The initiative, which began in 2005, brings together the most exquisite nativity scenes made by Peruvian artisans. This year, the competition is entitled Christmas is Jesus, and it began on November 23 at the Casas O'Higgins, a colonial-style structure located in Lima's historic district. As many as 54 nativity scenes created by artisans from 11 districts will be on display. The exhibition will be open until January 8th. The event's primary organizer, the Cultural Theater and Social Institute, or the ICTYS, emphasized that the event's goal is to promote popular art and make known the rich artistic heritage of the nation. On December 10, the 3 winners of the contest will be awarded. There will also be 2 honorable mentions and a special prize for the nativity scene, which will receive public recognition through voting by those attending the exhibition. And those are your latest headlines. Do join us tomorrow. In the meantime, you can visit swnews.org for more updates. Shalom.